Rise forever till ties sever, shine together, rule wherever. Clock ticking now or never. My worst behavior, beats who's unique, the flavor. Foes turn flame to vapor. Rise forever till ties sever, shine together, rule wherever. Clock ticking now or never. My worst behavior, beats who's unique, the flavor. Foes turn flame to vapor. Never veer off my lane, my vision.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Jarell's Journal, where we talk about healing, growth, and becoming the best self that you could possibly be, right? Especially for our veterans, our first responders, our brothers and sisters who walk through real life battles, right? So today is another powerful episode, another deep one that we're going to talk about, right? The roles of accountability and becoming a better man. There's a lot. I'm not walking this alone. There's many of us that do it. Speaking of, another individual who's doing it, have, good friend, my brother, Mr. Robert Cohen here with me, right? Someone who understands the walk, been there, done that, learned the lessons, and is here to tell his story. So I just appreciate you here.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
It's definitely good. It's definitely good to have you here and to be able to speak on it. So, in your mind, from your perspective, when it comes to accountability, what does that mean to you?
So accountability to me is a big one. Obviously responsibility falls under that category of accountability. But when you take accountability into a more broad spectrum, it's accountability not only for yourself, but for each other, helping out each other when in need. It could be, like me and you doing right now, you got your show, your program, and I'm helping you out. You're getting my story out. It's a team effort. It's something that never ends.
Absolutely. And I agree, because to me, accountability is very necessary. It means to me that somebody's going to make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to do. No matter what, no matter if you like it or not, they're there for your best interest.
That's
right.
right.
They ain't thinking about themselves. They're thinking about you, right? And somebody who's not just going to be telling you yes all the time. They're going to keep it real with you. They're honest, and genuine. And we all need someone, at least one person in our lives that can hold us accountable.
That's right.
We can go off the rails very quick.
100%.
Very quick. We're human, right?
That's
we're
right.
human, and it's what they say. The flesh is weak.
That's right.
And it's easy to be swayed one way. So we're gonna go on this tomorrow, right? So why do you think it's a struggle to be accountable or to accept accountability?
So, man, I think it's more of the hardships that come with it. Being accountable, that's not always that might lead you down a bad road. You know what I mean? You do something wrong, you hold yourself accountable for it. You got to do what you got to do to fix it. And sometimes that could be uncomfortable. It could be something people don't want to deal with. As a man, sometimes it's hard for them to ask for help. It could be as simple as not asking for the help that you need to deal with the accountability of it. It's there's a lot to it.
Yeah, that's tough, because you bring the pride.
That's right.
Pride and ego into it, and it's tough, especially for men, right? Because most of us is taught that we have to be tough.
Mm-hmm.
Even as young children, we're brought up to be tough. Don't show weakness. Don't show emotion.
That's right.
And whatever happened, you kind of just forget about it.
Yeah.
And move on. You see that a lot in society now, to where people don't like to accept accountability.
100%.
But you also seen a shift as well with those who are in our generation that are accepting accountability more, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing that. We're seeing that what happened in the past, as far as how men get talked about and this and that, and now a lot of men in this space is making more of a conscious effort to be that, to grow, to heal, right?
That's right.
Unlearn the bad habits
Yes.
that was
Yes.
taught and to relearn to new ones. But that's also a struggle because that gets frowned upon.
That's right. And I think once you get past that state of being frowned upon, or the mindset of you're not supposed to do this or show this emotion, or put yourself in a situation where you have to deal with some of those comfort issues, I think once you get past that, you see a much brighter future, much more happy, more with your family. It just in general, across the board, a definite brighter happiness.
I agree. So, how has the accountability journey been for you?
Hard, hard. A little bit about my story, and growing up, not having those steady role models in my life, man. There was no accountability. You know what I mean? You did what you did. What happened happened. There was no learning from it. There was no moving forward. You went on the next day, did it again. It was just a circle that never ended, because there was no accountability. I felt like once I started holding myself accountable for my actions and things like that, my future started looking brighter. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I quit having to deal with the cops a lot. I quit having to have all these bad conversations, man. I was just able to do my thing and not worry.
Yeah.
But it was also that little voice in my head, hey, you know what comes with this if you do this. So you just stay away from it, man.
So, did it start off with you being able to, just having that mindset that, all right, I need to do something different to where I need to hold myself accountable, or did it start with somebody else holding you accountable when you didn't want it, but you knew that it was the right thing for you, or you started to see that it was the right thing for you?
So for me, I would definitely say that I knew in my head that I had to make that change.
Okay.
I knew on my own. I wouldn't really say that there was a big push for it. The few people I had in my life, at that time, like when I was a teenager, that did push, I didn't listen to. You know what I mean? But I still needed that help.
Yeah.
I ended up meeting some people, kind of moved me out of the area that I was living. Just a fresh start, new environment, better neighborhoods, less gangs around. It was a lot. It was a lot better, more peaceful, more family oriented.
That's good. I know for me, it was a lot of mistakes, a lot of trial and error, um, because of the inconsistency that I've had um, throughout my life.
Hmm.
That it was always the go with the flow, go with the motion,
That's right.
and figure it out. And it was always like surface level suggestions, right?
That's right.
Surface level things. Like it wasn't more so of a guiding, like, here, this is what
That's
you
right.
need to do. But hey, this is how you do it. This is what you need to do. I
Yeah.
don't know what I'm
Yeah.
supposed to do with that, right? So it was more so like just doing that, and seeing stuff, and just developing the mindset of, okay, when you know better, you do better. And
That's right.
now I'm starting to know better, but I'm still wanting
That's
to,
right.
I want to try this. I want to try this.
Yeah.
But I started to think, what good is that going to do? In a lot of situations, like, what good is that? Well, let's think about it. If you do this, what's the consequences? Is it positive or negative? That, when I started to do that, or and have that mindset, I was like, okay, yeah, I don't want to have to deal with that, or I don't want to have to do with that. It definitely started changing for the better,
That's right.
for the good. And now I can really understand what it means to be accountable of your own actions, accepting the things. I was never one to make excuses, or at least I would try, but I'm not good at it. I'm a terrible liar.
Right.
So even to myself,
But when you get in that mindset of just rolling with the flow, you really don't even need excuses. You
yeah,
don't care. You keep going.
and that's what it
You
is.
just keep going.
Yeah, that's what it is. Is the fear is gone,
That's right. No fear. Just keep going.
and it definitely now going through all that, I've learned how to be able to hold others accountable
Hmm.
without putting too much pressure on them, or making them feel the type of way. or whatnot. How has what you've learned dealing with accountability helped you with others and being a father?
Man, so that's a big one. I've definitely still have to learn, learn to work with my words more.
Mm.
I'm quick to hurt some feelings. I'm,
Yeah, me too.
I'm quick to hurt some feelings, man. But it definitely shows, because even if it's not in words and you're leading by that action, you're giving your kids that guidance, that maybe you never had. We're doing that trial and error, trying to figure it out. Giving the kids the guidance to kind of point them in the right direction, and then still let them figure out their own way. It has definitely been great, man. I've been able to hold my girls accountable for their schoolwork, for their bilingual classes that they take, their extracurricular activities, cleaning, even their animals, man. I don't even touch their animals. So it's definitely me learning how to take better care of my own accountability and myself has definitely been able to help me with my kids. 100%.
What about with the wife?
Same. Yeah, I'm quick. Same. I'm quick to hurt feelings. Same. So it has gotten better though. I mean, because once I quit worrying about more or less what she was doing and worried about myself, my own issues, what I needed to work with, man, there's been less arguments. There's been less sleepless nights. It's just overall been happier. Overall been happier. But if I could definitely learn to work my words a little bit better, kind of put things in place, I feel like it could continue to grow from there.
Yeah, that is a challenge. And that's what I've learned, and I've been, you know, trying to, to preach to others is, words is very, very powerful. My
100%.
cousin says that a lot too. It's like words are important,
Yeah.
right? So you have to be careful with what words you use and how you use it, and when,
Right.
because
Right.
there's a time and a place for everything,
That's right.
right? And when you hear something and like that's holding yourself accountable, you're not going off the first thought.
Yeah, right, right. And that's definitely still a work in progress for me, man. There's definitely a lot of, hey, I'm sorry I said that, later on. It's like, man, did I really just go that far? Did I really say that? But it's learning from it, learning from it, trying to think things out more in the future before you just go that far.
Yeah, and I've I've, I've gotten good at that to a certain extent because like I say it to a certain extent because it shows in my face.
Oh, yeah.
Now
Oh, yeah.
that
Yeah.
I don't know how to
I
change.
don't either. I don't either. My wife can read me from a mile away. We don't have to be on the phone. We don't have to be text. She can see me across the store and know what I'm thinking. I'm telling you.
same, same. So I'm pretty bad at that.
Me too.
I'm pretty bad at it. But the beauty of that is those who are close to me, those who want me to say, hey man, just hold me accountable. Like if you tell me that, that's what's gonna happen.
That's right. That's right.
That's like you tell me that, and I do you mean it? Because you better you need to know. I need to know if you actually mean it or not. 'Cause don't be saying something just to say it.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
now you're gonna waste my time, and then you're gonna get me to say something that
Hmm.
you're not gonna like.
That's
'Cause
right.
it's not gonna bother me because it's gonna be true,
Yeah.
but you're not gonna like it.
And when you grow up like we did, without those specific mentors around and people around and guidance around, you really don't know. Now, as an adult, being in a relationship, being married, it could be a coworker, it doesn't matter. If somebody says something, that's what it is. You don't know if it's out of anger, you don't know if it's out of hatred, you don't know what it is. That's what it is.
Yeah,
That's part of that mindset you learn. When you grow up like that, you just roll with it, keep going.
yeah, yeah,
No matter how much it tears you up or makes you mad or what, it was sad. That's what happened. You keep going.
yeah.
You know.
But in that thick skin,
Yeah.
as
Oh
they
yeah.
say. But yeah, no, it definitely makes sense. And to go off of what you said too, as far as how it's made you a better father is same for me. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Because you have to practice preach.
That's right.
And my girls know that if I say something, I mean it. Like there is
Mm-hmm.
no,
That's
he's
right.
just saying it just to say it. No, that like because
That's
if you
right.
make me repeat myself, then
Problems.
problems, right?
That's right.
Because you want me to be, accountable, hold myself accountable, and in return, I expect the same,
That's right.
right? And so, they hold me under the fire at times too,
Mine too.
and you got to be okay with it. You can't get mad. Oh,
That's
ain't
right.
no do as I say, not as I do type. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that doesn't work, man.
No.
That definitely doesn't work. The do as I say, not as I do thing. It's monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah.
They're gonna watch you. They're gonna do what you do. Both my girls, especially my oldest, man, she's my little twin. She'll tell me straight up, she ain't scared of me. It doesn't matter what I say. She knows better. She knows that sometimes I say things that are kind of out of the way, and I don't mean, which doesn't make it right. I apologize to both of them for stuff like that, but it's that mentoring, showing you learn from it. You don't have to just roll with it. You constantly improve. That accountability is real when it passes off into your kids.
Yeah.
Hundred
And
percent.
especially when they respond in a similar manner as you would.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You know? And it's a beautiful thing because then you start to see that, all right, cool, what I'm teaching and showing them is actually,
That's right.
they're absorbing it. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Because they're able to hold me accountable at times. They're able to, when I bring something up to them, they're not, half the time, they're not,
Mm.
again, they understand. It's like, yeah, I was supposed to do this. I know I need to do
Yeah.
this and that. So it's building off of that.
That's right.
And it takes time, just like with the kids. It takes time to develop that. It's practice, repetition,
Mm.
and that's the same for any individual that's listening to this or watching this. It's going to take time and practice, practice, practice. But at the end of the day, it is worth it. It's definitely worth it because if you don't hold yourself accountable, who will?
That's right.
If you continue to do whatever you want and feel that there's no consequences or repercussions or whatever for your actions, you're not responsible or whatever for it, then people are going to stop caring. And it's going to start happening more and more to where now you're really isolated.
Facts, yeah, and that starts up that generational cycle too.
Yeah.
You do it, you have kids, your kids start to do it, their kids start to do it.
And they
Before
learn
you know
from it.
it, yeah, exactly. Before you know it, everybody in the family's doing their own thing. One might be a doctor, one might be in prison, one might be still living in your house. One, you don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody just does their own thing, and everybody accepts it. There's no common ground there to meet on to learn from, and it all starts from above.
Yeah.
Somebody has to make that hard decision in their head to hold themselves accountable in order to move forward and continue that progress through your kids,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. I definitely agree. So, we're getting close to wrapping up. What advice or tips would you give to those listening when it comes to accountability, when it comes to trying to be a better man, if they're a parent, a better father? What would you tell? What would you tell them?
Man, I would say, for one, be observant, because part of being accountable and being a better man definitely reaches past yourself and your family and your kids, because I know, speaking for me personally, as a man, if somebody walks up to me and they say, "Hey, how you, you doing all right?" and all I say is, "I'm good," man, I'm fighting deep. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? Because that's part of that not showing pain, not showing anything, but as a man, you know that. And you know that other men are going to be saying that same thing and doing that same thing. So it's knowing who you're around, knowing when they need help. Just be that ear, you know. Just be that ear for somebody. And other than that, I would definitely say, if you know you need to do something, don't wait, do it. take that accountability, run with it, get through that hardship, do what you got to do, and reap the rewards on the other side.
I agree. I agree. And another important thing to add to that is don't be afraid to ask someone to check in on you.
100%. 100%. Because you never know, man. If you talk to somebody and you think they might be going through something and you don't know, like you were talking about with the military thing, you never know. That might be the last time you see them.
It might be.
You know,
It might be. And even if you're the one that's going through it, don't be afraid to be like, hey man, I just need somebody to check in on me. I don't even if it's not weakness. It's not weakness at all. It's showing that accountability, it's showing that vulnerability of saying, hey, I'm feeling weak right now and well, I'm feeling at a low point right now and I need help. Because everybody needs help. Everybody needs help.
100%.
It's only the ego, that pride and ego, that is telling you that you don't.
That's right. Yeah, you got to let that ego go, especially if you have kids. You need to put your want for wanting to do everything on your own or your ego, and set that aside and ask for the help that you need. Because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, your kids need you. They didn't ask to be here. They didn't ask for any of the situations that they're put in. It's on you and holding yourself accountable to make sure that they can be the best that they absolutely can be. And if you don't do that for yourself, you're not going to do it for them.
No, no, absolutely not. And then how are they going to know how and when to ask for help when they don't see you do it?
That's right.
We're not perfect. You know what I'm saying? We going to go on this roller coaster of life, and we're gonna go through stuff. We're gonna go through some storms and whatnot, and that's part of life. But it's okay to show that I'm not good right now. I'm doing the best that I can, but I'm not good right now. And if you have those individuals that's in your corner, at least one person that's in your corner to where you could talk to or whatnot, then that's the person to ask. Hey, let them in, because how would they know how and when to help you if you don't say anything? So you just gotta, hey man, I need help. I just need a ear, need advice. Hey man, I just can we talk every week or every other week, whatever,
Hmm.
stuff like that. Open yourself up, and you may be surprised by the response that you get,
That's right.
and how many people is willing to do that has been waiting for you to say something, because people don't want to overstep, feel like they
That-
put pressure, they getting
Yeah.
into other people's business, because it's weird times now. Everybody's a lot of
Yeah.
people are
Yeah.
sensitive now, so it's you got to be a little wary, so you don't
Hmm.
want to push too hard, but once you leave it out there, they're like, man, they might be like, man, I've been feeling the same way.
Yeah. And you never know. Asking for that help might lead you down a path that you never thought of.
Yes,
You could ask for help just because you might be feeling depressed or anxious or whatever. You might want to talk to somebody, but you next thing you know, 6 months down the road, you could have a new job because of this person. You could have a new house
absolutely,
because of this person. You don't know. You don't know.
absolutely,
Yeah, it's definitely you definitely got to ask for that help.
yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, and that's taking accountability of your life, the
That's right.
emotions, your situation that you're dealing with, right? And then going from there, and then you able to do that, then you're able to set goals, you're able to
Hmm.
set everything else up in life, and make sure that they're attainable, um, and whatnot, because you know what you're supposed to do. You
That's
know
right.
what you're supposed to do
That's right.
to you and your situation. So this was good, man.
Yeah, definitely, man. I've enjoyed it. Definitely.
This was good. So, in closing, this was definitely a conversation that was needed,
100%.
for sure, for sure. Because, like I said, accountability is not talked about a lot,
No, it's not.
not as often. I say more so with our generation, but there's so many people out there who is just unwilling to accept it, or
Hmm.
don't know how, or still trying to figure it out. So this was big for my brothers and sisters that's still in the military, my veterans out there, my first responders, dads, or just men um, that is trying to grow, wanting to grow, yearning to grow. Just know that accountability is not a burden. You know, it's truly a blessing. It truly allows you to get a lot of weight off your back. You're able to express yourself, and it's a beautiful thing.
That's right.
It's a beautiful way to grow, and you start seeing things in a new lens, new perspective. So when you invite the right people in your life, you don't just grow, you rise. And that's a real thing. That's a real thing. And this is speaking from, living testimony. My life has not been the easiest at all. Most times it's felt isolating, but I allowed myself to allow others in, and I just been growing and growing, and it's been beautiful, man. It's been beautiful. So I definitely appreciate you, brother man.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you.
Coming on, sharing, your perspective, and your knowledge on the situation, because we understand. We've been through it.
Yes, sir. 100%. 100%.
We're still going through it. We're still learning. We're still growing, and we want to make sure that you guys get the information that you may not have known, or maybe you did and you just needed like a refresher. Iron sharpens iron, and we're not gatekeepers to any information that we learn.
No.
As soon as we learn something, we want to share with you guys, because we know we can at least help at least one individual out there. So, we definitely appreciate you listening and tuning in into what we had to say. You know what I'm saying? If this hit home to you, please share this episode with someone who's on their journey. If it's you, I'm sure you know at least one other person who is feeling similar or is in a similar situation or predicament. So please, share it with them, send it to them. It's beautiful. Everybody can learn from this. If you're ready to be better, start by finding that one person that will hold you accountable with love and truth. Okay? That's the only way to grow.
Yeah, it's a must.
It is a must.
It's a must.
It is a must. Please like, share, subscribe. We're on all platforms. Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music, or Apple Podcast, Google Podcast. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Jarell's Journal, Meant to Be Fit. Please share with everybody. But definitely appreciate you guys. This is Jarell's Journal, where we heal, grow, and show up with purpose. Until next time, stay solid, stay growing. Peace. Thank you for spending time with me here on Jarell's Journal. This space is all about healing, growth, and real conversations, especially for our military, veterans, and first responders, and those who just trying to move forward one step at a time. If something spoke to you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Start a conversation. And if you haven't already, subscribe so you don't miss what's next. Remember, you are not alone in this journey. Keep showing up. Keep putting your best foot forward. And above all, keep being real. Catch more resources and inspiration at www.menttobefit.com. Until next time, stay grounded, stay growing, and stay connected.